Thank you very much for joining the TyreSafe briefing. I'm Jason Sims. I'm the TyreSafe manager, looking after day-to-day operations for TyreSafe, as I have been for 8 years. I was very fortunate to work with Stuart Jackson, our previous chair, but after 14 years, he has since moved on, and we'd like to thank him very much indeed for all the fine service that he's done. A year ago, we elected a new chair, Stuart Lovett, as we feel that there's a strategic need to move further out into the road risk management and road safety and community. Stuart, perhaps I could ask if you could just give us a quick bit of background on yourself and also why it is that TyreSafe has taken this decision to enhance its positioning within the road risk and road safety management area.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. And obviously, I would like to extend my thanks to my predecessor, Stuart Jackson, for everything that he's done for TyreSafe. I worked with TyreSafe, as you know, back since 2006 when TyreSafe first started, and I've been involved in a number of ways since then. Previously, I've been in the civil service, public service for the last 34 years, and last year I retired from the civil service and public service, where I worked in National Highways as the strategic road safety lead. And this opportunity came up to continue my involvement with TyreSafe, so I was delighted when the trustees asked me to take up this position. So it's been a great honour for me, and I can't believe that a year has already passed in post. But it's been a very interesting year, and I think when people are watching this briefing, they'll see how far we've come in developing our relationships with the road safety partners. They will have seen from the briefings and the monthly newsletters the number of partners which are coming on board, and many of those partners will be doing introductions to their roles today. So they will see this, but I think it's been essential as a road safety charity that we are seen to be working much more within the road safety community with the road safety practitioners, and it's been a engaging piece of work. But whilst we do what we currently do as our core business, this ability to work with the people who will deliver the road safety interventions on the ground, I think has been such a unique opportunity. And I think what people will find engaging and slightly different from this briefing is exactly how we have repositioned ourselves over the last 12 months.
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. And I think, though, that we do need to emphasise, of course, that we're still business as usual. We're still providing our services to the TyreSafe, the tyre industry, and we're very grateful for their support too, without which we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So we still have that in the background, don't we? But what would be a sort of a typical example of the kind of activity that we are undertaking now with new partners?
Well, I think one of the things that is perhaps fundamentally different is the sheer number of new partners that we're working with now across road safety. And there's, people can see that under our section of the new partners and new supporters. But what we've also done is reposition perhaps some of the communications that we do. While previously perhaps we did more general campaigns, we are now working with these partners to create very specific campaigns. But also, what we're looking to do, what we're aiming to do, is to make ourselves more as a 365 days a year campaigns, which will be delivered as and when the opportunities arise, rather than just the big campaigns such as Tyre Safety Month, or last year we did the Christmas campaign. So to make our resources and the opportunities, and to seize the opportunities even as they come up every day of the year. So we talk about road safety. It's not something that happens ad hoc. It's not something that happens during Tyre Safety Month. We are now engaged all year round in working with our partners to deliver those resources.
That's fabulous. So that's given us more of a kind of national identity and also consistency across the board. Is that one of the key objectives with this?
It's absolutely that. But rather than just being known for our campaigns that we do, we're also now being recognised for our input and so we are now sit on a number of technical committees. We're now working with the Department for Transport. We work with DVSA. We work with local authorities, with the road safety partnerships, police, fire. So we're being recognised in a number of ways. So rather than just being seen as somebody that does ad hoc campaigns, we are now being seen as the technical resource into some of these meetings, and you'll hear a number of people talking about that. So shortly, Adrian will be talking about the Knowledge Hub, which is a technical working group. So we're now, Jason, you're now on the Department for Transport DVSA's technical working group for the input into the MOT public consultation, the results coming from that. So what we can do is now represent the members and supporters in these government meetings, in technical and policy meetings, to help. We now sit on the all-party parliamentary group for towing safety, for example. So we now will be representing our members at some of the more key strategic and policy decisions to help to get the TyreSafe messages across.
Thanks very much for the introduction.
You will hear on today's briefing people talking about a safe system approach to road safety. Of course, our colleagues within road safety will be fully conversant with this methodology, but I thought it would be worthwhile taking a little bit of time to explain to those people who are listening who are not au fait with that terminology, just exactly what it means. The SAFE system has been developed over many years, and it's a comprehensive system that addresses all road users. It talks about the shared responsibility that we all have. It's not down to one organisation to actually fix, if you like, the problems of road safety and casualty reduction. It's a holistic view and has a number of pillars that talks about the need for us all to come together to work across these various areas of road safety. And the ultimate aim is around reducing death and serious injury. The SAFE system, at its core, talks about the fact that humans make mistakes, and that due to the fragility of the human body, we are, of course, open to the consequences of the kinetic energy in crashes, which will lead to trauma, and obviously the greater the forces involved in those collisions will ultimately lead to greater severity and possible death as a result of these types of collisions. So the SAFE system in principle has developed a number of pillars to better explain and to enable road safety practitioners to come together and to work to address the various aspects. There are a number of pillars within this, but primarily there are 5, possibly 6 pillars that you might hear us talking about today. The first one is safer roads. Obviously, it's important that as we look to increasingly improve our road infrastructure, that we need to develop interventions and enhancements to the road network that will help to reduce the possibility of a collision, but where a collision does occur, to reduce the severity of that collision. And the kind of things that the road safety practitioners are doing in this area is obviously around making the roads, you hear the term, more forgiving, so that where humans do make mistake, the road infrastructure itself can actually help to reduce either the possibility of a collision or certainly the severity of that collision. The second pillar is of safer speeds. Speed management is integral to this approach because, of course, again, we're talking about increased speeds leads to increased kinetic energy, where there is a coming together either of a couple of vehicles or potentially roadside furniture and infrastructure that the collision may occur around. So there's a number of factors there, but speed management, again, is perhaps one of the more important areas that needs addressing within the safe system, because it's about correctly managing the speeds to enable humans to withstand the kinetic forces if something goes wrong and ultimately leads it to a vehicle, say, impacting on a pedestrian or, say, the infrastructure. So that's a key one. The third pillar will be safer vehicles. Vehicles improvements are increasingly improving to ensure that the design and the technology that's being implemented in new vehicles now is all around trying to reduce the impact of collisions, but also increasingly around collision avoidance. So the systems will start to take over that will then allow the vehicle to, I'm going to say, interact with the human, but almost take over from the human, the driver, enable the car or the bike, whatever vehicle, to help to reduce, such as autonomous braking, to reduce the speeds which are taking place. So even if you can't avoid the impact, then the speeds will be drastically reduced, which will, again, we'll be talking about reduce the severity and the kinetic energy involved in that collision. Another one is safer people. I mean, this is important, and some perhaps the area where TyreSafe is more actively involved. It's around that bringing about behavioural change, which can ultimately lead to greater understanding, greater perception of what the individual can do to take ownership, and of course, ultimately, to improve the levels of compliance. So it's about ensuring that people understand what they are required to do by law, but also what is, if you like, morally right to do as well. And so therefore, it's around ensuring that people understand what is required from them, what they can do to increase their levels of understanding, what we as practitioners within the road safety community and what you as members of TyreSafe, whether that was in your organisation, can help to raise the levels of understanding so people don't make the mistakes which we understand can lead to these kind of collisions. And then the other pillar is around post-collision management. So where there has been a collision, to understand why that collision occurred, to understand the causes, or as the police record in their systems, their Stats 19 data recording systems, what actually contributed to the crash, whether that be weather, road environment, individual behaviour, or levels of illegality, non-compliance, which ultimately led to that. So by understanding this what caused the crash, what led to or contributed to that crash, we will have the ability then to understand what we can do to bring about the behavioural change. Might be about bringing about system changes across one of these pillars, new technology, new legislation to actually bring about change. And across all these systems is something called the Road Safety Management System. This brings it all together, and it talks about the importance of this is ensuring that you have the right data, the right research, the right intelligence to understand the cause and effects of what's been happening, which will then help to, for us, for TyreSafe, for example, to have that level of understanding and help to determine what needs to be done, whether that's a new campaign or it's working with government or it's working with other road safety partners, and it's working with you as members and supporters of TyreSafe. And that's what we bring in TyreSafe, is this ability to look at this holistic piece and to think about the strategies that we will develop and the action plans that we will develop to enable TyreSafe as an organisation to continue to grow and embed itself firmly within the road safety community. So I hope that you will find this briefing useful. You'll hear a number of partners that we are currently working with and about how and why they are working with TyreSafe moving forward. And it's about how we are changing TyreSafe's strategy, if you like, to ensure that we are an active member within the road safety community. And certainly we as TyreSafe are supporting and promoting a safe system approach to road safety.
So okay. I'm Adrian Walsh, and I'm the Director of Road Safe, which is a high-level organisation that brings together industry, broadly all industries involved in the safety sphere, with government at all levels, with the police and others with an interest in safety. What we do is we encourage and develop partnerships, because proper safety can only be delivered in partnership. There's an issue of responsibility which is at the centre of it. And as everyone who's listening to this broadcast will understand, there's a personal responsibility that the drivers have and other road users have to comply with the law, to be competent in what they're doing. Yeah, I always use the driving test as a start point. The driving test is one of the most sophisticated testing regimes that any 17 or 18-year-old will come across. And it's, you take it at the same time as the A-levels or at GCSEs in some cases. Yet the failure rate is well over 50%. Now, if people were failing their public exams at 50%, there'd be an examination into what was behind that, which shows how tough the driving test is. It's a very high standard to pass it, and those people who have passed it technically have a very high standard. They understand the law, how everything operates in a very, very effective and deep way. Well, that's the starting point. We should all be at that level, really, if we're going to be road users. But we make mistakes. Humans make mistakes the whole time. And the point about the safe system, it compensates for those human errors. And it's designed, basically, have a series of layers round the person to protect them. There's simple terms. There is the rules of the law that helps to protect them, the understanding of that. And critical to the whole thing is, as one pundit in road safety always says, it's quite simple. It's about the management of kinetic energy. Now, the safe system is a dynamic system, and the tyre is a very good example of the safe system in action. It does all sorts of things. It helps with steering, with acceleration, and with braking. It also helps with comfort. And it's a really clever piece of technology, and it's dynamic. So if you think of the tyre as central to a safe system and how it helps the driver and it helps others because the braking system is part of it, it's a very, very good starting point to understand the safe system in action. Just looking at the vehicle itself, which is, everybody understands, is an important part of the safe system, as is the human, how the braking system works. The real experts and designers of braking systems think of the braking system in three parts. They think of the human who makes the decision to brake. And then I'll come back to the human in a minute. Then they think of what's called the chassis system, which is all the mechanics, the power, the brake fluid, the tensioners, the linkages and so on, and the brake pads. All that's called a chassis system. That's the second element. The third critical element of the safety system is, of course, the tyre. And if all of those are working well, a car or a vehicle will stop in a given distance when required to do so. There are weaknesses. The first weakness, of course, obviously, is the tyre. Well, the TyreSafe is all about making certain that bit is good. Then there is the human. Now, the human, this is where mistakes occur. They brake too late. They don't see the obstacle that they should be avoiding, or they're driving too quickly to be effective and stopping the vehicle in the right amount of time. Most crashes occur with the brakes on because the human has tried to intervene, and they can't produce the power. No human, particularly if they're in a state of shock, which is usually they are in an emergency brake, can produce enough power to actually put the brakes on properly. So all modern cars have braking systems that have a special linkage in them that recognizes the human in panic. And as soon as you bash the pedal, what you do as a human is you go into the fetal position. You take your pressure off the pedal. You don't realize you're doing it, but you do it. But the car puts the pressure on at about 5 times what a human can do and stops the car automatically with an emergency brake. Now, the other thing I would just want to bring your attention to is the importance of these dynamic systems in vehicles. The ADAS Knowledge Hub that we've created with partners over the last year is central to this understanding, because it's actually pretty well all about braking and steering. And an understanding of ADAS systems is, I think, critical to any professional in road safety. Driving instructors particularly need to really understand those systems, because those modern technical systems are critical to make our safe system effective in the future.
On the ADAS Knowledge Hub, you very kindly invited TyreSafe to sit on your technical group there. So how are we working with the ADAS Knowledge Hub and with RoadSafe and its partners?
Yeah, the knowledge hub is about the technology. It's putting the technology into simple language and illustrating that technology. And it critical, as I say, to that, because most of advanced driver assistance systems actually relate to braking and steering. And as I mentioned earlier, the braking and steering only works if you have good tires. So tires are critical to that. And it might be obvious to much of our audience, but it's not necessarily obvious to the wider audience. And so this is why tires are so important. I mean, it's why they're safety critical. It's why they're part of the MOT. It's why the police will always check tread depths and so on, because they are absolutely essential. And given the work that a tire has to do and the amount of friction that is produced, and you can only get acceleration or braking if you have friction. So the tire is under constant pressure. It's bound to deteriorate over time. It's designed to deteriorate over time. So it's designed to be replaced regularly. And the importance of maintenance and replacement cannot be overemphasized. And so the tire industry has an important after-sales role, and that is to ensure that their customers remain safe. And by and large, companies do that very well.
Yeah. And also, I think one of the things that I've worked with TyreSafe, as you know, Adrian, for many, many years, I've understood the importance in trying to reduce the number of incidents that are taking place across the country, and tyres are integral to that. But I don't think that people actually understand, certainly not in the wider community. I think there's a great deal more that we need to do to raise awareness, as you were saying, about the importance of this safety critical component within road safety, but also within the safe system, because the whole point about it, as you just mentioned, if the tyres are illegal, defective, particularly if they're underinflated, it does actually compromise the stopping capability of the vehicle, even if it has the best autonomous braking systems on it. So I think there's a lot more we need to be doing. I think really what can we do to continue to raise the levels of awareness, because the standard response was that cars are becoming inherently safer, but this safety critical component, as you say, that does wear out, there doesn't seem to be quite the understanding of how important that component, the tyre, is to the vehicle technology as well.
Yeah, but of course all modern cars have systems in them to alert the driver to the efficiency of their tyres. Older cars don't, and so it's up to the driver or the owner of the car to check. But all modern cars will tell you if the pressure's down on a tyre and so on. And that's all part of the safety communication with the owner of the driver, and the owner of the car, which is usually the driver as well. That's very important. That connection between the tyre, its pressure, the vehicle, and communicating that to the person who is responsible. But it can go further than that. You know, people don't normally check their tyres. People are bad at checking their tyres, but they're equally bad at checking oil levels and fuel, all of which are critical. So the car will tell you if your oil level's low. It'll tell you now if your tyre pressure is low, and it'll tell you if your fuel is running out. All these are important, but it's up to an individual to make absolutely certain. We are reminded by statute, we have to do the MOT when your car goes in for regular servicing. They will always check tyres as well. Every servicing schedule has that in it. So the better the quality of the service, the better the quality of the tyre will be. So I'm working with garages, working with service organisations, not just people who sell tyres, is a very important thing.
Thank you for your input today. And I think it's fair to say that as you said, this safety critical component does wear out, and for the foreseeable time and moving forward, I think it is one of the things where the human within that safe system has to take it, that, as you mentioned, the personal responsibility to keep checking their tyres on a regular basis. The car can only assist you to a certain level. So this is a good point to finish on. Is that we're asking people, of course, and we ask our members to help us with our campaign to act on tyres, to remember that people need to check the air, the condition and the tread. So thank you very much, Adrian.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Key part of our partnership working is the committees that TyreSafe has been invited to join to have a seat at the table while these influential discussions are taking place. We're delighted that organisations such as National Highways, RoadSafe, PACS, the Department of Transport and ROSPA, along with the APBG for towing, have all invited us to join in their conversation. Now, our role there is obviously to provide some technical support and an understanding of tyres, but clearly that I have limitations on my technical skills. So very often we rely on our supporters, the manufacturers, to provide us with extra technical support for these should questions arise. And if it's appropriate, then we pass on that an invitation for them to join to clarify a particular point. We also work closely with the British Tyre Manufacturers Association, who are particularly good at helping us out and have been a long-term supporter of us for technical concerns. So our role there is very much to help guide and influence, but very often we're introducing these groups to the idea that tyre safety is actually of concern. It's quite interesting that there isn't the breadth of understanding of just how significant tyres are to road safety until it's raised with people, and then they say, absolutely, we take a view on that. So examples of the kind of groups that we're with are the Department of Transport's consultation on the MOT. We're expecting to start those off very soon. We're very kindly on the ADAS Hub technical working group, which is a key thing moving forward, because obviously humans are going to need to be checking tyres for an awfully long time before we get intelligent tyres. And equally with PACS and their technical committee. National Highways have also started one up recently for sustainable tyres and braking, which we're very pleased to be part of. So overall, we're very glad to be part of these groups, and they are a very important part of what we do. And as I say, our role is to represent the tyre industry, but also tyre technology in the first instance, and then report back in.
My name's Emma Burley. I'm the communications lead for TyreSafe, and I'm just going to take you through some of the campaigns that we've absolutely loved sharing with you guys and also our wider audience this year. The first campaign we kicked off with was our spring campaign, where we challenged drivers with the question, do you drive in hope? Do they get behind their wheel every time they get in the car and not check their tyres? We use a range of different scenarios, intimating risk, intimating possible peril, and then we get drivers to think really long and hard about whether they drive in hope or whether they take the safety of them and their passengers into their own hands by checking their tyres once a month, every month. Our summer campaign brought back an old favourite from us at TyreSafe. We used our old black and white film, The TyreSafe Summer Holiday, to get people to think about what it means to go on a staycation in the UK or travel abroad and make sure they're checking their tyres. The range of videos uses a combination of humour. It uses some lovely old footage of fully loaded old vehicles to make people really think about whether their tyres are correctly inflated and whether they're checking the tread and condition of their tyres when they head out on their summer holidays. And then we come on to the big one, the Tyre Safety Month campaign that we're so excited to share with you guys this year. This year, the campaign is called Safe and Save, and it comes off the back of the cost of living crisis that none of us can really ignore has been affecting us. We're all feeling the pinch, but when it comes to tyre safety, we're offering motorists a chance to really make sure they're prioritising tyre checks as a real life saving. The campaign uses humour. It uses a play on some of the awful life hacks that some of us see, using cheap bin bags, reusing tea bags, all sorts of other scenarios that will hopefully make people have a little chuckle, but also think really long and hard about how much effort and time it really takes them to check their tyres. We don't want people to scrimp on tyre safety. We want people to make the right informed choices, because ultimately those choices could not only save them money on fuel and unnecessary tyre wear, but also the bigger life-saving implications of mitigating that risk. This year, the campaign has been cascaded out to multiple different verticals. So we've tried to make animations and we've tried to make assets for motorcyclists, for caravanners, for fleet operators, just to make sure that we're connecting really well with some of these new stakeholders that we're working with. And we're really looking forward to sharing these assets with you all.
A tyre is the only contact your vehicle has with the road. Defective tyres are one of the highest contributors to road accidents in the UK. Checking your tyres can keep you safe. But don't forget, it can also help you save money. Billy thinks he saves money by purchasing and using a part-worn car tyre. Sam saves money buying new. New tyres have up to 7mm of tread. A part-worn tyre needs only 2mm to be sold in the UK. Buying new saves Sam money, as he needs fewer replacements. It also means he's safer on the roads. Don't be like Billy. Be like Sam. Compromising safety is a false economy. Remember to act. Be safe and save.
A key part of TyreSafe's remit to educate motorists is by communicating through all media channels that are available to us. And while the traditional media may not be the zeitgeist, it's still extremely important to us, as our results will show. If you look at our media circulation figure, well over 300 million. I mean, that's an astonishing figure for TyreSafe. And in actual fact, Tyre Safety Month alone was the equivalent of a full year's results just a couple of years ago. So we're clearly making strong progress in that arena, which, as I say, is still very important to us. Traditional media still does give us a lot of coverage. Of course, the website is vital to us as our main hub of information. And we've been doing quite a lot of work behind the scenes there. And I'd like to doff my cap to Mike Bourne and to Emma for taking so much effort to really understand that subject and drive it forward. So our website stats are also of great encouragement to us. Social media is always one that is a bit of a challenge because of the changing algorithms that go out there, and we don't have the budget to pay for paid advertising through social media except for exceptional circumstances. So it's one that's a constant work in progress, but in actual fact is increasingly getting us results over the course of this year. So the results I'm showing to you now were those that were created in 2022, which we reported in our annual brochure. As an example of what we've been going up to this year, we've had some terrific coverage, and we just wanted to give you a couple of examples just to whet your appetite. Martin Lewis picking up on TyreSafe's world famous 20p test. Apparently it's a little known hack. I think they'll find that it's quite well known. And also the BBC, we were delighted to have come along to Myra and join us for the recording of what turned out to be 3 features on the BBC Morning Live show.
In a series of films for Morning Live, we've already covered how water affects stopping distances, looked at how a 20p piece can check if your tread is legal, and today she's deflating her car tyres, safely of course, to see if it affects the steering.
And this is terrific kind of media coverage that we absolutely are very, very keen to achieve. But it's also a key element of what we do by measurement of communication is through our stakeholders, partners and supporters. So you can see the graphic now with lots and lots of logos on it. All of these we've been very, very pleased to welcome on board since just last September, which has been extremely encouraging. And the kind of materials that we've been able to create through them are a further example by what we see here from National Highways Summer Campaign Trip and Operation Pennine, which is another very successful repeating campaign. But we've been invited into the fold to be actually dual branded with them. So this is vitally important for us going forwards. And this is another reason where our stakeholder engagement and our partnership building is actually helping us to create further and further opportunities for people to hear and see our TyreSafe message. And let's not forget, National Highways is also putting out the Safe Tyres Save Lives on those boards along the motorways, which we're all beginning to see again, which is a great joy to us all. Now, as I understand it, and I have no reason to doubt him, that's the equivalent of 1 billion opportunities to see a year. So once again, thanks to our partners and our media supporters for publicising the Tyre Safety message.
Can we now introduce Bev Hanna from National Highways, who is the Regional Safety Programme Manager, and you're the Programme Manager for down in the Southwest. So Bev, can you just give a quick overview of your role in National Highways?
Yes, my role is to ultimately reduce casualties on our strategic road network by working with our police partners, our stakeholders, our local authorities, and by encouraging educational interventions, but also by working with our police forces, that being backed up with enforcement activity as and when is appropriate.
So is tyre safety an issue on the national highways roads, or the strategic road network, as you call it?
Well, we know that 1 in 5 motorway breakdowns are caused by tyre problems, and this, of course, ultimately leads to significant disruption on our network. We also know that 46,000 tyre-related incidents happen on the strategic road network. So I think there's still quite a lot of work that we can do by working with TyreSafe to help reduce some of these incidents. So I'm working with you to improve the knowledge around tyre safety and the importance of tyre safety for all vehicle types and all road users, and also to help reduce the number of tyre-related incidents on our roads by raising awareness of the importance of tyre maintenance and the danger of defective tyres and illegal tyres.
Right. Well, this is a great time to announce to everybody who's watching this, is we're really pleased to say that, Bev, you very kindly, because of the scale of the problem that you're talking about, the work that we're going to be doing moving forward with yourself and your colleagues, this is a great time to say you've just accepted a position on our steering committee to help us to drive this forward. And as TyreSafe is helping to develop the resources and the assets to work with you and your colleagues, you're going to be able to help us to ensure that the delivery aspects of how we can work with yourselves is correct. So welcome to TyreSafe and to our steering committee, and we really appreciate this. So as we're moving forward again, so how is the issues that you've just mentioned, whether that's breakdowns or whether it's damage that you're seeing on the network, how does that impact in the smooth running of the motorway and obviously the whole of the strategic road network?
Well, obviously, when we have breakdowns on the motorways, this can lead to significant travel disruption for people. And I think with something like tyres, if it's been a tyre blowout, that would have been easily fixed if we could try and increase the education around tyres. These types of incidents, of course, could be greatly reduced. So with the help from my colleagues in the other regions at National Highways, I'm currently encouraging all of our police forces to join together in October for Tyre Safety Month by carrying out checks on vehicles, setting up educational points, sending out messages to the public via either social media or press releases in order to raise awareness and help not only to reduce our casualties, but also reduce these types of incidents which do hold up our customers on the network.
Yeah, so I mean, we always talk about killed and seriously injured, but of course it is also about the smooth running and trying to tackle congestion. But you yourself have actually become aware within your role, or obviously you're aware of the major incidents that take place in your region, but you are aware that tyres were a significant impact in a number of very serious collisions, which ultimately even led to some of your travelling public being killed and seriously injured.
Yeah, absolutely. And National Highways' long-term ambition is for no one to be killed or seriously injured whilst travelling or working on our network. And National Highways has adopted the safe system approach to road safety, and tyres fit into all the pillars of the safe system approach, which are safer roads, safer speeds, safer people, safer vehicles, and of course post-collision response. With the safer roads, we're making sure that we're educating drivers on the importance of good tyre maintenance, safer speeds, raising awareness that stopping distances are reduced with underinflated tyres or tyres that are low on tread depth. Safer people by encouraging the public to carry out vehicle maintenance and tyre checks on their vehicles. Safer vehicles, raising awareness about the dangers associated with driving on defective and worn tyres. And of course, with post-collision response, we're learning from what the data and the intelligence is telling us in order to help educate the public further.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've already talked, before this call, as we were engaging with yourselves, there's a number of great opportunities, shows and events and compliance activity with your partners, as you mentioned, the police there and DVSA. So I think one of the things that we need to be asking the people who are watching this today, if you want to get involved, this is a brilliant opportunity for us to help to provide you with that technical information, to help you at future shows, to engage with the local community. So if you have a business, say down in the southwest, then let us know. So as you're putting events on, this is a great opportunity to actually engage with your customers in this region, and ultimately as we extend this out to them, there'll be lots of opportunities which you're hearing about all the way through this briefing, more opportunities to get involved and actually to work with the colleagues across government, across local authorities, across the emergency services to help us raise awareness. So thanks, Bev. Thanks for your time. I'm really looking forward to working with you moving forward.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name's Mark Cartwright. I'm the Head of Commercial Vehicle Incident Prevention at National Highways. I'm really sorry I can't be with you personally today, but I wanted to take this opportunity just to record a brief video note to do two things. One, express our gratitude to our friends and colleagues at TyreSafe for our close working relationship, and also to recognise all the hard work that's gone into the production of a report you'll see launched today looking at the condition of tyres at the point of replacement. There's no getting away from the fact that tyres play a significant role in ensuring road safety. We all know that low tread depth creates problems in terms of particularly poor weather conditions and the reduction of adhesion to the road surface. But I'm also very conscious that pressure management has a role to play as well, particularly in the avoidance of aquaplaning, the problems it can give commercial vehicles in particular in terms of vehicle stability, and everything that goes along with that. Correct tyre choice is of course a precursor to all of this, and I know we're all feeling the pinch, but my message to certainly fleet operators, commercial vehicle operators, is don't skimp. Good tyres are worth their weight in gold. So please make sure the fleet operators amongst us that we have the right processes in place to ensure that we are checking tread depth on a regular basis, particularly as more and more electric vehicles coming on fleet, and we've heard, as I'm sure you have, the various reports about accelerated tyre wear, but also importantly check the tyres not just for damage but also for underinflation. We'd certainly recommend a good regime in doing that. Please make sure all your maintenance processes are in place, and the reason I mention that is we've just completed a fairly major piece of work with a number of well-known fleet operators, and the findings from that is that they're not too bad at changing tyres. Tread depth really wasn't particularly an issue across the fleets that we looked at, but we did find alarming and significantly high levels of significant underinflation on tyres. So it tells me they were pretty good at putting new tyres on there. They weren't so good at checking the pressure depth, the pressure gauges afterwards. So please enjoy the day. Learn from our very learned and experienced experts at TyreSafe. We were extremely grateful to be working with them early in the year at an event they put on at Myra to demonstrate the impacts of low tread depth in poor weather conditions on braking distances, the issues that underinflation can cause in terms of vehicle stability. So a real eye-opener day, and I know that the guys will be showing you some bits of video from that day. So tyres, absolutely vital to road safety. Please make sure you're managing your tyres properly. Please take the opportunity to use the significant amount of resources that our friends at TyreSafe will make available to you. I hope you enjoy your day.
Thanks very much indeed to Mark for that introduction. It's very kind of him to say so. If I may, I'll provide a bit more background on what the Tread Depth Survey was, and what we've produced latterly. In 2016, we completed 9 months of surveying tyres across the UK. I mean, just over 300,000 tyres surveyed, and at that time, we ended up with about 27% of them were already illegal at the point of replacement. This year, we've seen that change to about 17%. Now, while of course we're very happy to see that there is that improvement, and we do take some credit for that, as do you, our supporters, we think there is also an element here that we may need to further look into, which is the effect of vehicles being parked up for such a long time, which may have been something to do with reducing that amount of illegal tyres as well. Now, so what we propose is we'll be going back and having a look at that. But for now, as you can see from the headline stats, we've compiled them once again for Great Britain, for England, Wales and Scotland, and we have combined figures for the national level. And I think you can see that one of our key concerns here remains the number of tyres that are still below 2mm. Now, this in itself isn't a problem because obviously TyreSafe campaigns in line with legislation. So 1.6mm is when we would expect people to be making sure they don't go below that. But the issue is about 2mm is that is a very, very small amount. And it's easy to forget that we're referring here to 0.4mm difference. Now, that's half the thickness of a bank card. Now, for somebody to be able to measure that accurately takes some degree of skill. The problem is we know that people aren't checking their tyres. So it seems to be more by luck than judgment that we don't have more illegal tyres on the road. Now, there's some areas which Wales, once again, does not perform terribly well in this. And equally, this year we've got Cumbria and the northwest, which is struggling a bit too. We also see down in other parts of the south of the country, there are some areas of concern there. Now, what we'd like to do there is increase our activity working with National Highways and people like Beverley to see if we can address those on a regional level, and to see if we can, through targeted activities, reduce the instances of those people with illegal tyres. There's one key moment, obviously, in everybody's life, and every motorist year, that they could clearly make a big mark on this. It's before the MOT, but we see again with the MOT that there's an awful lot there of issues of failure rates, 2 million a year from defective tyres. And why aren't people checking before they go to the MOT? Seems obvious, but they're not doing it. So this tread depth survey is supporting evidence we've seen before. It supports what we've seen now, and we're very interested to see what we might be able to do further with it in come future, and with other research as well, of which we have many different lines of opportunity coming up, each of which our supporters will be able to join in on. So in terms of what this tread depth survey will be used for, it's going to be using to inform policymakers. National Highways have cascaded it through an awful lot of their key stakeholders for road and tyre safety, and we will be doing the same. There'll be further communication on this, on our activity in the very near future. We'll be laying out an awful lot of stuff during Tyre Safety Month, and you'll be able to refer to the website to see in more detail what we've got and what we achieved.
I'd like to now introduce Tony Crook, who is the Road Safety Manager at Lancashire County Council. So, Tony, can you tell us a little bit about your role there?
Yeah, good morning, Stuart, and good morning, everyone. Great to be here. My day job, as Stuart just said, I'm the Road Safety Manager for Lancashire County Council. I have a few teams that I lead. One is speed management and concerns, who look at trying to mitigate people driving excessively on the roads. I also have an education and engagement team that, as the title says, engages with schools and communities about safe road users and safe road use. And also we're just developing taking on the team that does speed surveys, so actually measuring volume of traffic and speed counts across Lancashire, so we can use that data to inform our preventative actions. And we engage very, very closely with the road safety engineering teams, so we work together on safety engineering schemes. My previous role before this, I was 30 years with the fire service, and I was also the National Lead Officer for the National Fire Chief Council for Road Safety. So quite passionate about road safety.
Yeah, so Tony, I've obviously worked with you for many years across both of your remits. So one of the things we'd like to announce today to everybody who's listening and watching this briefing is that Tony has very kindly accepted our invitation to join our steering committee to help us to drive forward our new direction, our new agenda, if you like, for TyreSafe. So, Tony, it's going to be great working with you moving forward. One of the things that I wanted to ask you is tyre safety an issue then within Lancashire, within your remit?
Yeah, first of all, really, pleased and honoured to be asked to be part of the steering committee. Tyre safety, like any core maintenance, is absolutely vital. So if I reflect on my previous role in fire, attended a number of very, very, serious fatal collisions. Some to do with driver error, some to do with car maintenance, and tyre safety is absolutely paramount a part of that, because tyres are the only things that hit the road surface when you're driving. So they stop you, they protect you, they make sure you can navigate or mitigate the effects of having to brake suddenly or drive in severe weather. So very, very passionate about tyre safety, and people really should check the tyres at least once a month. It rammed it home to me on a personal level. My daughter recently come home from uni just for the summer break. We check her car. We do all the maintenance checks, including tyre safety checks. We'd not done it for a few months. She's done a number of miles without my knowledge. And when she come home, lo and behold, it was absolutely on the limit. So we had to be very smart and get 2 new tyres on her car. So you must check your tyres, 1.6, the minimum. If you don't, 1, it's your life, and others. But 2, you'll get whacked with a £2.5 grand fine and probably 3 points on your license. So very, very important that you check your tyres both for wear, condition and tread.
TyreSafe has already been working with you, and I've been working with you for a while now. We've already done a number of events. So can you just explain to people who are watching this the kind of things that we've been doing with you in Lancashire?
Yeah, along with TyreSafe and other partners, we put on a couple of events recently. One was at Leyland, and all the partners got round. There was the fire service there doing extrication, road traffic collision. There was Pro Tyre looking at conditions of tyres. There was various partners, including LCC, educating people about safety and dangers on the road. So a really good event. But what again absolutely amazes me, you get members of the public turning up, not really understanding tyre safety checks, and then when they are given the opportunity for their tyres to be checked, lo and behold, there's all sorts that are found. So no tread, bold tyres going back 10 years old, where they could just crack, and really they could absolutely split when they're driving on the motorway because of the compound is worn down. Similarly, at Blackburn, very, very good event put on by Blackburn that a host of partners from Lancashire attended, including TyreSafe. And again, just a carbon copy that people was not adequately looking after the tyres. So the message is get them checked and keep checking them and replace them with the best quality tyres you can, because that probably leads on to the Myra event that I attended along with you, Stuart. So very, very happy to be invited, where we at a test facility, a test track facility, I got the real opportunity to actually drive cars with low inflated tyres, overinflated tyres, bold tyres, under various conditions, be that aquaplaning, be it through ice conditions, etc., be it through brake failure. And it was phenomenal to be in that position, to see the performance of tyres and the difference in performance through a correctly inflated quality tyre and a underinflated or overinflated tyre with basically no tread on. And there was a huge distance in stopping distance. And again, tyres can absolutely save your life.
Okay, so just finally, so how can TyreSafe and its members work with you and your teams in helping to promote our tyre safety messages?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd recommend to all partners to sign up to be a supporter of TyreSafe, because TyreSafe have fantastic free resources that you can download, print off, and first of all, they're very eye-catching. So your design team do a fantastic job actually creating the media behind this. But they're really, really useful. So if you're having an engagement event, you can use them as poster, flyers. You can discuss and go through the points of tyre safety with the community and members of the public. So that's the first point. Join up, get access to free resources, and then work with TyreSafe. So get you involved in events and get the tyre safety as part of the Safer Systems approach to road safety.
Right, thanks for that, because I think that's important that people are watching today is let us know if you want to be involved. Well, there's going to be numerous. You've heard me talking about it in other parts of this briefing. You've heard me saying we're asking people to volunteer. There will be all sorts of opportunities now that we're working with people like yourselves Tony, for these people to come out and say, yes, we want to support our local community. We want to raise the profile of our businesses, work with the local authorities, work with government, the emergency services. So there's a real opportunity. So one of the things we're asking people to do is to let TyreSafe know that you're interested in promoting your business and be available to support these kind of local initiatives that are taking place moving forward. So thanks for your support, Tony, and look forward to working with you.
No, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
So we've been hearing from our road safety and road risk management partners about the activities that TyreSafe takes part in and supports them with. And a key role in that is our retail supporters. And so I've asked Archie to join us to explain why it is the ProTar is so heavily involved. So Archie, thanks very much for joining us. If you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself and explaining what your role is in ProTar.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Archie Murray. I'm an area manager for ProTar in the Northwest. I've been with the business a couple of years now. We've got involved with TyreSafe events over the years. Predominantly this year, though, is where I've been involved. And we did an Alive to Drive event with Lancashire Fire Service, which, of course, TyreSafe were there, as were a number of other agencies, the police and ourselves, of course. The big eye-opener for us on that day was we were offering free tyre checks, and I would say 80% of the customers' vehicles that we were checking, they were just there as a shopper for Tesco, believe it or not. And 80% of the vehicles had major defects on their tyres. So that was a real eye-opener for me, just to say the opportunity for customers to learn about what they need to be looking at around their tyres and the dangers that poses, just from inflation, from alignment, and all those points that we don't seem to look at as a consumer. We're just getting our cars and drive. Actually, there's a great education piece around that, and that's what I was there to do, and that's what we were there as a team that we achieved on that day, and we look forward to doing so much more.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about these faults, and I'm sure you see those within your outlets every day, and some horrendous examples we've seen coming through by way of images. But you're not paid to attend these events when you support TyreSafe. What is the key driving motivation for you when you do support these events?
To be honest, we've got values, and this is the key driver. So the key driver for these events are values in honesty, care, and expertise. And if we can show that care when we're out there doing these days, we can demonstrate our expertise by being honest with the customer. When of course another value, honesty. That's really the driver for us. We talk to people, whether they come to us as a business, it's not the driver. It's about the education, really. And we can demonstrate our values, and hopefully as a byproduct, they come in and book in with us, and we show them that we've been honest.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. I mean, these events take place typically close to your outlets, don't they? This is how you handle it, so it's another opportunity to mix in with the community, I suppose.
Absolutely, and part of what we do is around community. We live and breathe that within our business, with our community, with the charity work that we have within business, which we keep private. We don't really shout about it. Some of our managers or our people go and do charitable events. We will help and assist where we can, and we'll donate money and things like that. So community, especially around our local centres, is massively important to us, and keeping that community safe as well. That's our main driver for what we do.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to join me on this. I do appreciate it. Thank you once again for your support for TyreSafe.
No problem. Thank you very much, Jason. Speak to you again soon.
Thank you.
I would like to introduce now Andrew Pratt, who is the Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner for Lancashire. So, Andy, can you just have a brief outline for our listeners to your role there in Lancashire?
Yeah, thank you very much, Stuart, and thank you to TyreSafe as a whole for letting us just have a couple of minutes. My role is, for those of you who don't know, we did a large survey in 2021 of the people of Lancashire of what they considered to be important, and they wanted the police and the partners to make some efforts on particularly antisocial behaviour, organised crime, etc. But actually, one of the 5 priorities that the public came up with was tackling dangerous drivers. Now, dangerous drivers comes in many sorts. It's not just speeding, and particularly those who are driving with their vehicles that are unsafe. And I would say people who are driving with tyres that are either underinflated or overinflated, not properly inflated, but also those with defects or not sufficient tread on them are definitely dangerous drivers as well. So it's part of the work we're trying to put in place across the partnership. I chair the Lancashire Road Safety Partnership, and there are all the relevant authorities who sit on that trying to work together. So thank you, Stuart.
No, thank you. So from your evidence then in looking into this issue, is tyre safety an issue then for drivers in Lancashire?
I would say yes. I know we've done a couple of events. Well, we've done a few events now across the county where we've got the partners together and invited the public to come in and have their tyres checked just on a voluntary basis, not by the police, but by tyre professionals. And it's amazing the number of people that have tyres that are incredibly old, that are cracked, and those tyres that are illegal as well. But on top of that, your viewers might not know about Operation Vertebrae, which just took place certainly across the whole of the M6, but in particular in Lancashire, of the 60 vehicles that were prohibited from travelling. Now, these are light goods vehicles or heavy goods vehicles, so you can imagine the power and the weight of these vehicles. Of the 60 vehicles that were prohibited from travelling, this is on the motorway in five days in Lancashire, 26 of them had tyre defects. So you can just see it's nearly 50% of the vehicles that were prohibited. So these were not allowed to go any further. So there were hundreds of vehicles stopped, but it's just really, really dangerous. And I'm grateful for all the partners coming together to try and tackle it, and for TyreSafe for definitely keeping the issue alive in everybody's minds.
Yes, well, obviously, this month we'll be planning and getting ready for Tyre Safety Month in October. So this is about helping our supporters and partners to get ready for that. So how can TyreSafe and its supporters support the Lancashire Partnership for road safety moving forward?
The public events are incredibly important. It's got to be, you can obviously prohibit people or prosecute them, but actually educating them is incredibly powerful. So any events, any public events that we can hold where we can also include TyreSafe supporters in that, in trying to educate the public and help them stay safe on the road. So yeah, we'll be holding a number of them, and we'll try and get as much public participation in vehicles, not just cars, but also light goods vehicles, motorcycles as well.
Yeah. So there's a possibility of supporting you when you're doing some of your compliance events and your enforcement events, but also just with your engagement. This year, we were pleased to support you at your Drive Alive event in Leyland, and I believe we will be supporting you. I'll certainly be there supporting you at Preston at the Flag Market there. So if anybody is watching this, who will be around on Sunday, the 18th of September.
Yep. That's great.
And
and they're incredibly important, particularly in central public venues. I know we've done events at the bus stations. We've been on the front of the prom in Blackpool. It was a good event at Asda in Blackburn, and this one is on the Flag Market in Preston. So trying to get the best footfall of the public themselves there.
Yeah, and I believe one of our big supporters, Pro Tyre, will again be supporting you at that press event, which is just about raising awareness. So again, this is the kind of thing that our supporters, by letting us know that this is the kind of thing they want to be involved with. There are opportunities coming up, certainly in Lancashire, to get more involved and to support you and the role that you're doing. So again, thank you very much for your time and letting our supporters know how we are working with you.
Yeah, no, I think TyreSafe's a brilliant charity, and I'm really grateful to all those that contribute and get involved. And that practical experience of those professionals is critical to informing and getting the public to keep safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Introduce Jamie Hassel, the Executive Director of the Parliamentary Advisory Council for Transport Safety. So, Jamie, it's great to see you today. So can you tell our supporters and partners about the Parliamentary Advisory Council and why you are pleased to be supporting TyreSafe and our campaigns?
Yeah. So PACS covers different forms of transport. So it covers road, rail and air. But our biggest focus is on road because that's where most of the deaths occur. So our main work is around road safety and improving road safety. Our vision is that we have a transport network that's free from death, that's safe to use for all road users. And when it comes to road collisions, tyres are a key factor. It's the one part of the car that doesn't currently form part of the star rating. So when we talk about safe vehicles, people say, well, I want a 5-star car, but if you put sort of a 1-star tyre on it, then or you don't maintain your tyres, then it's not actually that good. So tyres we know is a key area of road safety, and that's where we're very keen to work with TyreSafe.
I certainly believe that it's a hidden problem is the dangers that illegal and defective tyres cause in this country. How do you find? I mean, there's a great emphasis on the fatal 5 or on other issues, but from your role in PACS, do you do an awful lot around understanding the issues around illegal and defective tyres?
I have to admit we haven't to date, but we are evidence-based. So that's what we sort of work from. And, to me, it is a key area. We want to find out more. We want to support that. I attended your test day, and I like to think that I'm pretty good at road safety. I understand how to maintain my car. But having had sort of some new tyres fitted, and my tyre fitter said, yeah, we'll put them on the front because that's where you need them. And then on the day when I was talking to the experts, they were saying, no, you want them on the back. That's where you're more likely to lose control. Or if you lose control, you're less likely to be able to control the skid. So actually, you want your best tyres on the back. And that, ideally, you have the best tyres that you can afford for the vehicle you've got.
I mean, it's great that TyreSafe and PACS are working together to continue to raise awareness, particularly with the policy people and the parliamentarians who you work with. So, this is a great partnership working with yourselves, and we're delighted to do more with you. And obviously, we will do more moving forward, which is what this partnership is about. As we do more research, so we just recently released the in-depth tread study, a point of replacement. We're doing other areas of research, which again we will share with you. So, how working with yourselves, as you say, you're based an evidence-based charity as we are. How will you utilise this research to help spread the message from TyreSafe?
So we can do that in a number of ways. We're part of we provide the secretariat to the parliamentary party for road safety, for transport safety. So we can flag issues at that group. We do a number of conferences and events. We do sort of articles on LinkedIn and other areas to sort of raise awareness. I'm currently sort of really interested in restarting our sort of road risk group. And I see that as a big one around companies making sure that they're keeping their own employees safe, but actually making sure that companies aren't harming others. And I think there's some good evidence out there that they're not maintaining their vehicles, they're not changing tyres when they should do. Inflation is a big issue. So it's trying to pull all this evidence together in the right place with the right people so that we can actually get some momentum and actually get some action done.
Yeah, and TyreSafe, and again, thanks to yourselves for the invitation. I mean, TyreSafe is now a member of PACS. Well, we've been a member of the PACS for a long while, but recently we have been invited to sit on a couple of your working groups that you talk about. That one is the behavioural, to try to understand how to bring about behavioural change, which is never easy in anything, but particularly within road safety, trying to bring about changes in public perception and understanding. And then the other one is a technology group. So, the ability to work with the experts that you can pull together and for us to have a seat at the table, I think is something which a lot of our listeners today will not be aware that this is the kind of opportunities that people like yourselves are now extending out to TyreSafe.
Yeah, and what we also do is we link our members together. So some of our members are from the insurance industry. So if we've got really good evidence that having better tyres means that you can stop and your vehicle's safer, then actually your insurance company might be interested not only what kind of vehicle you're driving and how old it is and the engine size and all this, but actually what tyres has it got on it, what tread have you got on it, and perhaps you have to provide monthly tread depth information, monthly tyre pressure information, because actually if we can show the evidence to the right people and it's not just sort of Parliament, actually it's possibly where we can get things done quicker. So I would like to sort of be able to work with you to be able to demonstrate that actually the insurance industry might be a really good partner to work with, because if we can show that if you've got this type of tyre, if it's got this amount of tread, if your especially with companies, if your company policy is you change at a certain point rather than the legal limit, that should all make that vehicle safer. If it makes it safer, the insurance company is less likely to have to pay out. So it's thinking about how we link our members up, how we get the evidence we need to be able to demonstrate, both safety, but actually sort of good business practice. How do you save money? How do you, demonstrate we're doing the right things?
I think, as we've just discussed there are a number of great opportunities for TyreSafe to work with the Parliamentary Advisory Council, and there's some great opportunities coming forward, and we look forward to working in partnership with you moving forward. So thank you. Thanks for your support.
Thank you very much.
That was really quite scary.
I hit the brake as hard as I could. I didn't think I was braking. Just weren't slowing down at all.
You only think about a tyre being wrong when it looks flat. That's the problem.
It's one thing to read about tyre safety, it's another thing to experience what actual effect it has on a vehicle and to experience it for yourself.
TyreSafe is the only road safety organisation, charity, which is dedicated to raising awareness of the safety of tyres.
One of the reasons why we're at a test track under these controlled conditions is so that we can demonstrate to people the difference between the amount of time it takes to stop if your vehicle is equipped with full tread compared with that on low tread in wet conditions.
Hard as you can. Brake. Perfect.
One of the other exercises we've got today is comparing two different types of tyre. One of them is called all season, a blend between summer and winter performance, and the other is summer tyres. What we're demonstrating here, thanks to this special surface which replicates the property of ice, is we're able to put those vehicles side by side, get them up to 50 miles an hour, and see how quickly they stop. Aquaplaning is driving in conditions where there's a lot of standing water. There's a band of water in between the tyre and the road. That's when you're out of control. Slow down. You've got to pay attention to the conditions around you. Arguably the most interesting and most dynamic activity is demonstrating what happens to a vehicle's handling when it's got underinflated tyres. When they're fully inflated, they're nice and solid. When they're underinflated, they deform. The suspension is going excessively leaning to one side or another. So this demonstrates how inflating tyres properly is essential to making sure that the vehicle handles properly.
I'd always been under the impression that if you had sort of good front tyres, you'd be all right. But actually in this scenario, it's really clear that having good tyre depth on your rear tyres is really important as well.
I didn't quite realise the effect that it would have quite instantaneously out on those tracks.
One of the things that struck home to me, just how engaged everybody was. And even people with 20, 30 years road safety experience, this actually made them think slightly differently, which was the whole purpose of today's event.
Whether it's 50p or whether it costs you £1, it's worth every month. Drivers go to their local garages to make sure their tyre pressures are at the correct level. It could save your life.
So I'd like to introduce now Kathleen Bowman from Cambridgeshire Fire and Rescue Service. So Kathleen, can you tell us a little bit about your role in Cambridgeshire?
So I'm the Community Road Safety Officer. It's a brand new role for Cambridgeshire Fire and Rescue Service, and my entire work is getting into the community, promoting road safety, working in partnership with the other organisations within our county to help reach hard to reach groups of road users and promote road safety message across a variety of means.
So is tyre safety an issue that you're experiencing in Cambridgeshire?
It is. So tyres are one of the things that we're really trying to focus on in the next couple of years. Cambridge has got a lot of very rural roads. It also has quite an older population who often aren't up to date with vehicle maintenance. So what we do find is quite a lot of accidents we have on the roads involve tyres either under inflation, worn out, people not driving to the conditions of the road because of the weather and things. So we're really doing a push to help educate people how to maintain their tyres, how to look after them, what to look for, and why this is so important.
Well, we're delighted to work with you, Kathleen, and other fire and rescue services who are taking part in a pilot for the charity car wash event. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about what we're doing with yourselves?
So in our county, we've been working with the local fire stations. Each year, they'll usually run 1 or 2 car washes. Members of the public come down, get their car washed, and then donate some money to charity. As part of this, we've been trialling offering free tyre checks to people who come to the car washes. We do a quick visual check, we double check people's tread, and then we give them some education about how to check their own tyres and why that's important. And we've had a fantastic response from this. Pretty much everybody who comes to the car washes is happy to have their tyres checked. We found a few vehicles with tyres that probably should be changed because of safety, but everyone has been really positive about learning about the tyres, and it's an extra bonus on top. We've even had some people go away and return in different cars to get their other cars' tyres checked as well. So that's brilliant for the car washes too.
So obviously TyreSafe is working with, there's a number of other fire and rescue services across the country who are taking part in this pilot, which we're hoping once we've done this pilot can extend. So can you just explain about that to our listeners?
So you've got Cambridgeshire Fire and Rescue Service currently. You've also got Lancashire Fire and Rescue Service have been attending some of their car washes. The Scottish Fire and Rescue Service have allocated a few of their stations within a specific geographical area as part of the pilot, and also Surrey are very keen to get on board. So there's lots of support out there. We've done all the hard work of working out what works and what doesn't. It's just about signing up and getting people to the washes.
Okay, so how can our TyreSafe supporters, our members, how can they support you? What can they do to help you as you're putting these kind of events on?
So a lot of the time it's staffing. So there is only me for my entire county. I can't unfortunately be in 2 places at once. So if there's 2 car washes on the same day, I can only attend one of them. So supporters wise, if you've got somebody who is willing to go and do tyre checks, you'll probably generate some income because there'll be people who will come who need their tyres doing anyway. But more than that, you're promoting that safety message and people will remember that. People who come to the fire washes are very loyal. They often get sponsored by local businesses. So it really does have an impact on the local community. And then as well, we often run public events. Lots of partnerships will do big public road safety days where various different partners are there. If you come along and you talk about tyres, again, you're promoting that safety messaging. You're meaning that you've got more organisations there. I can go and talk about a different aspect of road safety and tyre safety will still be represented.
Great. So this is an opportunity then for our local supporters, in your case in Cambridgeshire, but we mentioned the other pilot areas of Lanarkshire in Scotland, Lancashire and Surrey. So people who will be interested. So if there's a charity car wash event taking place somewhere within those counties, then what we're asking for people to do is to register and show your support, because this is a way that your business can support the local community as well as the fire service in not only raising awareness about tyre safety, but also road safety. But it's an opportunity to help the charity as well. So obviously, we're encouraging our members to let us know if they're interested in doing this, and hopefully, once we've done this pilot, this will become a national opportunity for other fire and rescue services. Therefore, other counties will start to take part. How else can TyreSafe support you in Cambridgeshire Fire Service? I suppose by extension, any fire service who is putting road safety events on?
It's often having the experts there. Like we will know enough about tyres more than the general public. But if somebody comes to us and says, I have a specific tyre and I have this very fine question, we are not the tyre experts, your supporters are. So having them there to answer questions, to help educate people, they often have more equipment than we do. And we did an event where it was a local garage round the corner, and actually people came up to us and then went to the garage round the corner for a follow-up when it was needed. So that was absolutely fantastic, and that's something that we're looking to replicate every year in every location that we go to when we do these bigger events.
Okay, so it's about our members, our partners, helping you with that technical expertise to put a successful event on. And of course, just like we're a road safety charity, you know, this is a way of helping to raise funds for charity, and very often that is the firefighters charity. Yes, so on a local level, all of the car washes that our fire service runs are to raise money for the firefighters charity. Firefighters charity run car washes up and down the country, so it's just a case of on a local level working with them as to what the firefighters are comfortable with, making sure it's appropriate for the station. Okay, so this is a new opportunity for TyreSafe working with, in this case, Cambridgeshire Fire and Rescue Service. So again, these are opportunities which are coming up all the time. So thank you, Kathleen, for taking the time out to explain how TyreSafe is working with Cambridge Fire and Rescue Service. And this is only the start of greater partnership working. Thank you.
We're very grateful to the fire service for the opportunities it gives us to engage with motorists on ground, and particularly with their support, we always attract a crowd. Now, one of the key things that we've been building towards for some time now is to be able to support the annual charity car washes that are put on around the country, not universally by every single one of the fire service stations, but by a significant proportion of them. Now, we're nicknaming this fire wash in-house just to make it a shortcut. And we're glad that we've been able to get the opportunity to pilot this scheme, which will be rolling out fairly soon. But we will then hope next year to be in full swing to take it national. Now, the idea is that a fire service, if they'd like somebody to come along and check their tyres, check the people's tyres who are waiting in queue, we reach out to our retail supporters to see if they can join on ground. They're not allowed to be branded, of course, because it's all non-commercial. And when they're there, they check people's tyres and they're able to hand out a leaflet which gives the participant a 10% discount. Now, we've got that from a few of our retail supporters at the moment, National, Halfords and Protar, to whom we're extremely grateful, but we'd also like to extend that further. So if you'd like to participate in this, we'd be very glad to have you along. The rough terms are that they need to be in-store purchases and the person does need to bring the leaflet along to show that they have taken part. We've developed the website so that there's a central focal point for both fire services to apply and for the general public to understand who is participating in there, which will be going live very soon. In addition to that, we have various different assets that we have available for fire services to use. So if you are interested in either as a retailer to participate in that, and let's also include the fact that it doesn't have to be tyres, for example, that you are giving a 10% discount on. It might be another product or service that you do that is tyre safety related that you might wish to propose. Equally, fire services can come in contact with us through that. So please do keep an eye on the website. We'll be sending out communications when it's live, and we look forward to welcoming you there and seeing you at a fire wash.
Well, now we introduce Sarah Smithers from the NTTA. So, Sarah, can you tell us a little bit about the NTTA and how you're working with TyreSafe?
Good morning, Stuart. Yeah, we at the NTTA, that's the National Trailer and Towing Association. We are here to promote the trailer safety for all our members and the public. We work with you along government and many other agencies to try and educate the public and our members on what's right, what's wrong, and what's better for them. And it was great joining you because, you know, you give that education and support for what we need and for our members' needs.
Well, thanks for that. That's a great introduction, and obviously it's great to work with yourself, Sarah, and your colleagues at the NTTA. One of the things which I think people who are watching this briefing will be interested in is the joint work that we do on the all-party parliamentary group on towing safety. So, can you just elaborate a little bit on that and how that impacts on tyres?
Yeah, the APPG, it's Parliament work where you, I and many others have all joined this group to try and work towards promoting tyre safety, trailer safety, anything that's on the road, what is towing. And it's great. I mean, the government have been working and doing lots of checks when they pull people over. They are looking at all that work and admin into what's wrong with a vehicle, whether it is the trailer or a caravan. And they've done it over a couple of years now. And obviously tyres is a big part of that. And people don't understand, you know, they think that just because they haven't used their vehicle, they don't need to change their tyres, when actually that's wrong. And that's where you've come into this, and the education that you have given and support has helped people on the road.
I believe that the members and the people watching this won't be aware that the APPG, working with government, have recently issued a report.
They have, yes, and they did the report a couple of years ago and they've done it again now. And unfortunately, things haven't changed too much. People are still probably not educational aware of what they should and shouldn't be doing, but this all helps into the safety. And hopefully when it's released, which should be any time from sort of September, October onwards this year, now government are back in work, you know, the public will see what we've been doing and maybe will understand all that and why the Police and Highways England have been doing all these stops.
Yeah, I think one of the things that people will be surprised at when there is just the scale of tyre-related defects that have been found when DVSA and the police have been doing these stops. So we look forward to actually seeing that report, and then obviously doing a lot of work with yourselves to actually raise that awareness. I think one of the things that again we could discuss is very often people focus on tread depth when they're thinking about tyres, and so obviously, you know, we know that there's the legal minimum for tread depth, but I think one of the things that people forget is about where a trailer, for example, has not been used, or is used either for work or for leisure purpose, but it's used randomly. And so therefore, there's a lot of time when it's sitting still, and that in itself can cause problems. So perhaps you could elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, I mean, some people, you know, they have a trailer and they may only use it twice a year just to go to the tip, or maybe just to go on holiday taking the camping equipment. But when that tyre sits, you know, that's when there occurs a problem, because it bulges, it cracks, and you don't always know. It looks fine, but where that tyre has been sat, there is a flat bit. And it's not until you start moving, and you don't always notice it when you're actually towing. It depends what the load is to whether you realise that or not. But yeah, it is a big problem, and people, you know, should have their tyres checked regularly. And it's great that, you know, we've got the year and everything on a tyre now, so people can look. And I know a lot of people have sent me photos saying my tyre is 15 years old, but there's nothing wrong with it. Why should I have to change it? But unfortunately, you know, even if it's been sat somewhere for 15 years, there is going to be a problem.
The last thing that we want for your members or for anybody who's out there is that the tyre gives as a result of wear, age, pressure, whatever. So I think there's a lot we can do to work with you, and looking forward to working. Can you just elaborate again on the kind of things that TyreSafe and its supporters and members can help the NTTA with about raising this awareness?
Well, we always ask our members if they've got any photos, because obviously they service trailers regular, and if they've got photos to send them in, because some people will look at a photo and laugh and go, oh my God, how can somebody have been towing that? But when they started towing, the tyre looked quite normal. It wasn't until they've on the road reached a speed that it actually shows the impact. I actually was on the M1 the other day, and of course all the traffic slowed down. It was like what was going off, and a tyre had blown on the motorway. Luckily everybody was okay, but again, people don't realise, because when you first look at a tyre, if you're just going to do a general look, it looks fine. But and especially those who are towing with heavy, well, even light vehicles, but if you're towing with something heavy like a caravan, or you've got a really heavy load in your trailer, one of the main things is you have got to check your tyres, because if that one tyre goes, it affects all three.
Yeah, I think people do forget that. And obviously we'll be talking on the briefing about our campaign for Tyre Safety Month, which is going to be around the cost of living crisis. And I think there is a great opportunity for people to actually help to reduce their operating costs, of towing and the trailers by looking after them, which can reduce your on-road costs, because whether or not it's the fine, or it's the bent metal, or insurance premiums, looking after your tyres can actually help to save you some considerable amount of money. Yes, we accept that there's an initial outlay, but yes. Thanks very much for your time, Sarah. I think, as we just demonstrated, there's an awful lot that TyreSafe can do to work with yourself and your members about raising awareness. So thank you again.
No, thank you.
If I may now introduce Tony Campbell, who's the Chief Executive of the Motorcycle Industry Association. So Tony, can you tell us a little bit about the MCIA?
Yeah, hi, good, nice to see you, Stuart. Yeah, MCIA, so we are the trade association, so therefore the representative body for the motorcycle sector. In membership, we have over 185 companies, which include all of the major manufacturers, along with people that manufacture and import rider gear, helmets, tyres, all of the componentry, as well as companies that provide services to the sector. Yeah, we've been around for well over 100 years. So the organisation's, very well established. But obviously, in the world of motorcycling, arguably, tyres is one of the most critical components for a rider and for the sector. As with any tyre as a product, the sort of innovation, technologies, and how quickly things move, and the performance required from tyres has become, even more and more significant. Large parts of the products that are available in our sector are high performing, and by nature that means that arguably the tyre as a component of the vehicle is probably the most critical part of the vehicle, both to make sure that it's capable of managing that performance, but obviously keeping the rider safe.
From the MCA and from a rider's perspective, do you think safe tyres is an issue within the riding community?
As a rider, it's something that I used to pay particular attention to. I raced for many years, so I've used tyres in the extreme. And I think generally speaking, if you are a leisure rider, where you're riding for fun pretty much, or touring and stuff at the weekends, I think you've got a good understanding of it. Perhaps sometimes you don't give it enough thought. I think the riders that are using our products for everyday travel, last mile delivery, commuting, I don't think they think about it anywhere near enough, which again is a motivation why I think we should be working more closely with you guys.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I would like to do moving forward and working with yourselves is to our supporters, our members who are watching this, certainly from the industry side. I think there's a lot more we can do to work with yourselves to better understand what it is that riders need, so that we can actually meet that need and get them to understand what is the best tyre or other component that is for that bike, rather than just, as we anecdotally hear, what is the cheapest tyre for this bike? Or
yeah, absolutely.
We need to understand better what your members need.
Yeah, and I think that's a key point. I think just having the right sort of, I guess, qualification process when somebody visits a tyre store, inquiring about new tyres. I mean, riders that ride at the weekend leisure, generally speaking, I think there is a high propensity for them to probably have a good idea of the sort of tyre they want to replace with. They'll follow reviews, they'll follow tyre tests, they'll know what the manufacturer's fitting as standard, and they'll have a good understanding often what they want. I think some of the questioning that's often missed though is what's the bike being mainly used for? What sort of journeys are you doing? And making sure that the customer understands there are differences in the products. And I think in terms of cheapness and cheap tires, obviously the market, I've seen it change so much over the last few years, and you've now got these so-called budget brands and stuff like that. Often they are actually a subset of a major brand, and I guess it's making sure that the customer's giving the right advice. The motorcycling community is fickle in the sense that if you don't ride a motorbike, then why would you know more than I do? And therefore, I guess having motorcycle tire experts, would be quite an interesting thing to develop, where they really can give well-informed, well-knowledged advice on tire choices.
Yeah, credible advice to your riders. Yeah, well, Tony, this has been great, and thanks very much for your support and for joining our campaign and to be a member of TyreSafe, and obviously you've offered us honorary membership of the MCIA, which is great. So I look forward to continuing to build on this new partnership moving forward. Thank you.
Absolutely, Stuart, and feel free to speak to us about Motorcycle Live and doing a bit more engagement there, so we can speak to a real big audience all in the same place.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Stuart.
So, Stuart, we've had a very full agenda from the briefing today. What do you think that people should be taking away from it?
I think one of the key things that people who are watching this briefing, and particularly those people who've watched and been involved with TyreSafe for a long while, is the sheer opportunities that's coming to us in TyreSafe. The doors that thankfully our partners that we are now working with, Road Safety, they've opened to us, they've led us in, they've now given us a seat at the table. So we are now in a position to represent TyreSafe, its members, its supporters, its partners at these meetings, these workshops, these technical groups. And so I think that the big thanks to all our partners to allowing us to come and work with them, because these are great organizations that normally we would not get access to. And so I think that's the key thing for me is the opportunities which are coming, which hopefully people can see that we are starting to seize these opportunities. And from those opportunities, other new exciting things will occur.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that one of the, there's a big group of supporters that's been with us right since the beginning. That is, of course, the tire industry itself. And I believe you see that there's great opportunities for them in joining up with us too.
Well, of course, they're integral, because without their core support, TyreSafe wouldn't exist, because they help us to keep going year after year after year. But I think, what you're saying is about we are now this 365 days a year organization where our resources can help deliver. And I think one of the things that I'd like to mention is the opportunities which we will be coming forward for them, as whether they're supporting us nationally or regionally, or from the independents supporting local opportunities. You've heard from Catherine about the fire wash, the fire charity opportunities. There are other local road safety opportunities coming up. So I think it's important that what people think is, how can I help to support not only TyreSafe, but their own business, to get engaged with raising awareness and supporting their local community by working with the partners. So we will be putting requests out for people to support us at these events that are taking place and will increasingly take place. So it's important that they contact the team at TyreSafe and to let them know that they want to be involved, because without them, the opportunities will not be as great as they could be. So I think what we're talking about here is we're going to be working, as they will have seen, many more partners, but we need the local participation from either national, regional, or independent garages to help us to get that message and that technical support to our partners across road safety.
Great. And so looking forward, do you have any final comments of where we might be this time next year?
Where will we be this time next year? Well, who would have thought we would have come this far in this year? I think where we will be next year, hopefully, just an integral part of the road safety community for people across road safety, across the industry, to think, who is the person, the organisation which we should go to ask for support, to get technical information. I'm hoping that TyreSafe, and we have it there behind you, Jason, TyreSafe.org, that's the place that people should be going for information and for opportunities to raise road safety awareness around people. How can we get the message to the public that they need to act on tyres? Safe tyres save lives. We must remember that.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Stuart. And thank you once again to everybody who's been able to join us today. It's greatly appreciated, and we very much value your support. We wish you a great year ahead, and please do contact the team at TyreSafe.org. Should you have any inquiries, we're always here. We always have our ears open, and we're always willing to take on new ideas. Many thanks indeed to you all, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.